Hello, welcome to the webinar. My name is Kim Conway and I am the Surrogate Admissions Manager, and I am also a 3-time surrogate as well. Joining me today are a few FSC surrogates at various stages of their journey to help answer some questions about the experience of becoming a surrogate. Since we are talking about the intake phase today, I want to go over what qualifications are for becoming a surrogate and explain the steps of the intake process. There's a lot to do before you can even be matched with intended parents. First, you have to live in the United States. You need to be 21 to 42 years old and have a BMI of 33 or less. You also have to have delivered at least one child and be raising or have raised that child. You can't currently be on any medications for depression and anxiety. You must be in a stable living condition. And of course, there are other requirements, but those are the basics. When you apply to become a surrogate, we will review all of your medical records and collect a lot of different documents in order to make sure you are eligible to join our surrogacy program. This is called the intake or admissions phase. It starts with a brief phone call to go over your expectations and talk about what the next steps and the entire surrogacy process. Our intake team walks you through each step of the process until you're ready to be matched. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get started with our Q&A. I want to begin with some introductions. If each of you could tell us your name and where you are in your surrogacy journey. Let's start with you, Kenetra.
Hi, my name is Kenetra Cooper. I am on my first journey. Currently, I am in the middle of medical clearance with my current journey.
Jasmine?
Hi, I'm Jasmine Porter. I'm also in my first journey. Actually, as of yesterday, I just cleared legal, so I'm moving forward and I'm about to start medication.
Wonderful. Okay, let's start with what made you decide to become a surrogate. Kenetra?
I will be glad to go first. So I attended a women's conference here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area about 3.5 years ago. And FSC, Family Source Consultant Agency, had a booth set up, and I stopped by and I was like, oh my gosh, that is such a wonderful thing to do. What a blessing. I'm always looking for ways to utilize myself and to be productive, and definitely looking for ways to bless others. And so when I was introduced to the opportunity and was able to speak with several different wonderful ladies from the agency, I was all in. I was like, man, why didn't anybody tell me this 20 years ago? But that's not a hint to my age, but absolutely. So I just think it's a beautiful thing. The fact that we're able to give life is just amazing to me. And I thought that would be such a wonderful thing to do for another individual or family.
Wonderful. Jasmine, how about you? What made you want to become a surrogate?
So initially, I looked into egg donation. Right after I had my daughter, I just started looking into how I could help. And then a family member of mine, she actually started going through surrogacy, and I was like, well, maybe I'd be interested in that. So then I started looking more into surrogacy, and personally, I see myself as a giver with my love language. I love helping others, giving to others. So um, initially, with my first daughter's pregnancy, I loved being pregnant. So I'm like, why not carry a baby for someone else? I love being pregnant. And so that's when I found Family Source Consultants. And within 12 hours, I was on the phone with Kim and had my initial Zoom interview.
Yes, you did. I remember that well. For me, my story is actually a little longer. So I looked into surrogacy when I was young, 18, and found out I was actually too young to be a surrogate. So then I kind of forgot about it for a couple of years. And my husband and I, we had 2 children, and I was looking to have a third, and he was not. I had that hole in my heart of wanting that child, and I remembered surrogacy. I remembered that there's so many people out there who couldn't have their first child and had that same hole in their heart. So we ended up having our 3rd child, but I asked my husband, what would you think about this? He was totally on board, and I knew that there were people out there who had that same feeling, that same longing, and I wanted to help them if I could. So the next question, were there any requirements of being a surrogate that surprised you? Jasmine, let's start with you this time.
I expected a lot of requirements. I mean, you're carrying someone else's baby, but I don't think any of them surprised me. I mean, I know you have to have a good health and everything to be able to do this and be in the right mental state, which passing the psychiatric evaluation. I mean, I think I expected everything that we had to surpass to get through everything. I don't think anything really surprised me much.
How about you, Kanetra?
So, of course, there were no initial surprises because I didn't know what to expect. I knew that there would be a lot involved. Um, Going through the psychiatric evaluation and all that good stuff, I'm like, man, I am a classroom teacher. Am I like crazy and maybe I don't know it? And so it was great to find out that I wasn't and that, I still was in stable mind after being in education for 12 years. And so that was definitely a journey and just making sure. Um, I don't think that any of the other requirements per se surprised me, but I did ask questions along the way. And what did surprise me was that how many people actually apply to be surrogates and don't actually make it through the process. And so that was something I was like, what? And I really value that FSC makes sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And so that was definitely something that just kind of melted my heart from the consultant piece. But as far as everything else, other than like trying to reach around and, give myself injections, it's really, it was a challenge, but it wasn't surprising. I knew I would have trouble reaching around. So, but I got through it. But everything else, the intake process, it was amazing. I didn't expect to have so much support, though, I will say that. I didn't know how it would look, but it was amazing support from all the way down the chain. So I've met so many wonderful people after being with the agency, very thorough, followed through, everybody's concerned, Facebook groups support. The support is absolutely amazing.
That is awesome to hear. I'm glad you're getting all the support you need. For me, I did have the one surprise. Like I said, I looked into it when I was 18 and I was actually surprised that you had to be 21. I thought I'm an adult, I've had a child. And that's what surprised me when I was looking into it. That was pretty much the only requirement that I didn't understand back then. I do now, didn't back then. But that was one that got me. All right, Kanetra, let's talk about your perfect intended parents. Did you have specific criteria for matching?
So I definitely originally visioned a happy couple who possibly were not able to conceive, and I was going to be that person to make that dream and to fill that spot in the family. Um, but as I engaged in the process, I realized that there are some not so common or not so unique families out there that also struggle to have kids. And so there's single parents, there's same sex, there's all different kinds. And so I originally um, came to the conclusion that anybody that desires to be a father, a mother, or to raise a child um, that are unable to, I would definitely be a blessing. And kind of as Jasmine said, I would be able to give that to them. And so um, that was originally my plan. But now, whomever I can bless, like there's no name on it. It's like the blessing just has no ideal person or persons that it can fulfill that void.
Jasmine?
So I think when I thought into it more about I'm about to start matching, like who am I gonna pick kind of thing. Like I know we pick each other, type of thing, but I guess I kind of envisioned like maybe a same sex couple, but thinking more into infertility, and I guess I didn't really have my thoughts on like a specific couple. But I am big on feeling a vibe or energy and like just knowing. But it did take a couple um, going through the profiles before I did find my match, which is fine. I wasn't expecting like first person, like let's match right now. But I was able to actually meet my couple that I did match with and get to know them better, even this early in the journey. And I'm very glad that I matched with the couple that I'm with.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to get a good feel for somebody just through paper and photos, and it's nice to be able to talk to them. So for me, my only specific criteria and how I envisioned intended parents were I just wanted some that wanted to get to know me and allow me to get to know them and be a part of the journey together. I did not want a transactional journey. So that was my specific criteria for matching and for intended parents. And I'm happy to say here at FSC, every single journey I have seen has never been a transactional one. It is always one built on friendship and love, and it's just an amazing thing. But going into it, it was before I joined FSC, and I didn't know this, and I just that was my requirement, was somebody who wanted to have communication and talk, and I could see photos afterwards, and I am very happy with that. So Jasmine, what part of the intake process for you was challenging, and what advice would you give to other surrogates to make that easier?
I think part of the whole intake process is the wait. I am so eager to be able to do this and like get the journey going, but everything you have to do to get to that point, I don't think people see that part of the surrogacy journey. They just see, oh, you're pregnant. There's a lot more to it. Getting through the medical clearance and the psychiatric evaluation and the legal. And I think just the wait through everything isn't what I was expecting because I didn't know. This is my first time. So I didn't know what to expect really. But I wouldn't say any of it was complicated or not worth it. This is completely worth it. The way I've been through this journey 5 months now, since January when I matched with them, and through the medical clearance of waiting for results and waiting for your next appointment and that next email, you're just eager to get like, okay, we need to do this. And I think really just the weight of everything is just like, ooh, I'm so eager to do this.
Kanetra, how about you? Was any part of the intake process particularly challenging for you?
I'd have to ditto what Jasmine said. So it wasn't challenging. And as I said, because you have so much support, I do know that the weight is definitely something that's a personal challenge for me as well. Being that I think I joined in 2018. And so with COVID and all of that, so that made it a little bit difficult as far as trying to get everything done with everything shutting down and then trying to start back up. So I would say that anything that's challenging, it's going to be a personal challenge because you have so much support. FSC allows you to see a snapshot of everything that needs to happen. Everybody's very thorough with explaining to you what needs to happen. You need to make sure you have a good calendar and that you are writing things down or you have some type of electronic way to keep track of all the different things that you need to do, and making sure that you fully read through things and understand the process and ask questions. And so from that perspective, as I said, there's not anything about the process in itself that was challenging. However, you can create some personal challenges within yourself, like wanting it to like, let's go, let's go. And so I think they told me like my alternative name is patience because I've been on it's been about 3.5 going on 4 years now. And so but I'm still hopeful and I'm very looking forward to my first actual successful journey.
That's awesome. Well, for me, um, new surrogates do not have to deal with the challenging part anymore for what I found challenging. I initially did my first journey starting in 2012, and back then we still had paper everything. Nothing was electronic. So, I had to mail things out, wait for things to come. That part was a little difficult and challenging. But now everything is electronic, so things can go a lot quicker and things are faster and people don't need to wait. And I do have to say that once you've been a surrogate once and you go to apply for the second time, things go entirely fast for you. You already know the process. We already have most of your information. So it's not as slow as it was initially when you're trying to do your intake calls and you're trying to gather all the documentation for the first time. The second time or third time around, it just seems to go a little bit smoother and a little bit faster. Well, thank you ladies for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. If there's anything else you have to say about the intake process? No? Well, thank you guys. What'd you say?
Ask questions, and I
Ask.
asked Kim a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Or at 10 o'clock at night, just so I didn't forget. I'm like, what about this? Can you do this? What about this?
And I answered my phone. I do. We are always there to help. Any part of the intake process, any time of day, we are there for you. And asking questions is the best advice. If you don't know something, don't be scared to ask, because we would love to help. Thank you, ladies, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. You have a good day.
Bye.
Do the same. Bye.